Already listen, you Adderall abusing ecom degenerate. You and I have beef, my friend. And it's because right now you're a little peasant, making a few sales a day, feeling like the man, doing $100 or $300, maybe even $500 a day. Lottie frickin' da, do you want a cookie? And sure, you can put entrepreneur in your Instagram bio, but we both know deep down, your store ain't doing nothing. Definitely not enough to actually change your life and be able to buy the roly-poly or $2,000 Ralph Lauren cowboy jacket with built-in AC, or just upgrade your goon cave into a goon mansion. And I get it. Every time you try to scale up your ad spend when you have this winning, profitable ad, it completely crashes and burns faster than your last relationship, which, yeah, in hindsight, maybe we should have let our girlfriends go outside every now and then instead of just chaining them up to the oven 24/7, but we live and learn. And in that spirit, I'm going to teach you the only thing you're actually missing right now to scale your store to that next level. Because when you strategically focus on this one lever, it makes the whole scaling process incredibly simple. It is child's play. You will make retarded amounts of money scaling your store from that glass ceiling of $100 a day to thousands of dollars a day consistently. And as a full-time retard myself, this is exactly what I've done to scale my portfolio of dropshipping brands to over 7 figures a year consistently, but more importantly, teach my students how to break through the glass ceiling of $100, $200 a day, and then a few days later, get to thousands of dollars every single day at a 30% profit margin. So if you give me the next 23 seconds of your time, I'm going to teach you exactly what this lever is, what you've been doing wrong, and what you need to focus on to actually scale to thousands of dollars a day consistently. So what's actually happening when you're in this testing phase where you're testing a bunch of ads and you have your first ad that's profitable? Congratulations, that is a start. So most likely you have this little skincare product. You see this girl right here, MILF. You know, I wouldn't mind after a few shots. And then, or you're spending around $20 and you're making $50 back. Awesome, 2.5 ROAS. Nothing to scoff at. But then when you try to crank up the spend to, let's say, $30, you make 60 back. Your ROAS starts to dwindle. And as you increase the spend, it tends to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle to the point where you can't actually spend more money. Or you just have to turn off your ad and you're freaking out. You're losing your mind. You're thinking, oh my God, this is the only time I'm ever going to have a winning ad. I need to hold on to this thing for dear life. I need to resuscitate it. I need some sort of EMT. So let me do cost caps or bid caps. Maybe there's some way I can just hack the Facebook algorithm to just spit me out customers and lower my CPA. No. This is the complete wrong way of thinking. And when I was an absolute idiot like you in the beginning, I used to think the exact same way when I didn't have my $2,000 Ralph Lauren cowboy jacket. God, I don't even want to think about those days. But yes, most beginners don't realize that media buying strategies are incredibly overrated. It's a lot like an F1 where you can have an F1 team where you have Max Verstappen, you can have Lewis Hamilton, you can have Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton on your team and still not be first in the Constructors' Championship, even though you have the perfect media buying strategy. Because the problem fundamentally is your car's broken. The engine's shot. So you think that, oh, if I want to win the championship, I just need the best driver. When no, you have a Kick Sauber or a Red Bull, which honestly is impossible to drive. I mean, you can kick out as many drivers as you want. I mean, the car is fundamentally just not there. But when you actually focus on the things that matter, like making ads that are super detailed in the targeting and the messaging and the pain points, then it doesn't even matter what car you have, or sorry, in this case, what driver you have or what strategy you're trying. You do cost caps because it doesn't even matter. Your winning ad is going to scale no matter what you do. So it makes no sense to focus all of your time on trying to hack the algorithm. In fact, all I do, and my students that do millions of dollars of sales, like Izzy or Tim, I have a student Tim, he's doing over $25,000 a day. It's this simple. One testing campaign, one scaling campaign. Sorry, I don't know why that looks like a 2. I'm kind of dyslexic. The Parkinson's really is kicking in. That's all you need. So you have a testing campaign where you're testing all your new ads, and you have one scaling campaign. Now, what do you do in the scaling campaign? ASC, start at $100 a day. That's all you need to do. And then drop in all of your ads that are showing signs of life. If they have multiple sales and are profitable, cool. Drop them into the ASC. So you might start with only one ad, but then as you get more winning ads, you keep graduating them in together and they fight for this budget of $100 every single day. So we'll eventually get to 3 ads and then 5 ads, 15, 20. It can have unlimited amounts of ads. But the real main thing I want to teach you is that with the old way of thinking, it's not going to work. You're not going to hack your way into scaling to $1,000 a day with just one ad. Most ads can't scale on their own to that level. So the way you can test it, though, is you have an ASC, $100 a day, throw that ad in there, and if it sinks, the ad's not good enough. But if it swims, potentially it's good enough. But in most cases, it usually isn't, because when you're testing things, you're still having to figure out what's the right messaging. So let's get to the next stage of things. So now we know First problem, media buying strategies aren't going to save you. But the real core problem at the end of the day is the no BBL gap. If you're going to scale your brand from a few $100s a day in sales to thousands of dollars a day, you need to increase the gap. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, if you're spending, let's say, $100 a day, you're probably making back, let's say, $200. So this is the gap right here. If you are going to scale your brand and increase spend, naturally what always happens, as we already talked about, so let's say this is 150. I know I should draw it a little bigger. We'll do that. So this is 150. As you spend more money, your ROAS, that 2-to-1 gap, is going to get smaller. So maybe you make 150 and you make 250 back. So that 2-to-1 now is like a 1.75 to 1. It's not great. And this gap keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller as you spend more. That is your core issue right now. This gap isn't large enough to actually scale. And that needs to be your main focus. How do I get from spending $100 a day and increase this gap from 200 to 400? Because there are ways of doing it. How do I get this ROAS greater before I start cranking up the budget? Because as I crank up the budget, yes, naturally, this gap is going to get smaller. So we have to have a BBL level gap. We can't have a little baby gap here. We can't have pancake level gaps. And that ain't going to work. That ain't going to cut it. You need a curvy, thick BBL Miami girl influencer gap. Because a lot of times what happens, and let's give ourselves a little bit of space here. When you are creating an ad, what Facebook will do is it will show your ad to the lowest hanging fruit. It's a lot like being a fisherman. So as a fisherman, look at you. You're super happy. You got your little fishing pole, and you got a lake. And you might find this little hot spot where there's a lot of little fishies, and you catch a bunch. You might have already 5 fishies in your cooler that you're going to whip up and cook later on that night. Awesome. But what happens is eventually this little spot dries up. And you need to start hitting other spots that have less and less fish, that are more skeptical fish. They're smarter fish. And in order to be able to catch those fish, you're going to need a better ad, because your bait is your ad. And in a lot of cases, an ad can spend $20, $40 a day, whatever it is, at a low scale and maintain profitability because it's not reaching a ton of people. And as you spend more money, what Facebook does is it shows your ad to a broader audience. It's not the lowest hanging fruit anymore. It's not the people that are the most likely to bite. It's now more broad people that don't really know your product, that are probably in the same, obviously, target audience, but they're not as eager to buy. And your ad's ability to convince those people to buy is its main job in scaling from only $20 a day to $500 a day. So you need an ad that can appeal to a mass audience. So how do we actually do that? Well, that leads us to our next segment. I know we're going rapid fire today. This is all over the place, but I kind of like it. Balloons. What are we talking about? BBLs? What are we talking about? Implants? What are we talking about? What is a balloon? Well, right now, if you have an ad that's spending, let's say, $20 a day, that's making $50 back. And then when you try to scale it, this is what tends to happen. You have a balloon, a little balloon boy. You're the boy from Up. So you got your little balloon. Wow, look at me, little balloon. And then you try to put more spend into it, which is equivalent to putting more air. So you put more air, and as it gets more air, it inflates and inflates and inflates. So now you're at $20. Now you're at 30. And let's say now you're at 50. And then when you try to get to that next level, pop. And you go from this to a very unhappy camper. Poor me, my balloon, it's bursted. And that's what tends to happen. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a balloon ad. In fact, let's be honest. If we're really doing like a pie chart here on all ads, and I get it, I'm ADD. I apologize. You shouldn't be learning from me anyways. 90% of ads, if we're really being honest, 90% ads, losers. They make no money at all. 9% of ads, I'd say, don't quote me, I know that sounded very Hitler-esque, are balloon style ads. About 9% are balloon style ads. And then this little sliver right here, this little tiny sliver, is what I like to call the 1%, aka blimp style ads. And the only difference between these blimp style ads and balloons is that balloons are made from a thin latex. You put more air, they're not built for pressure, not built for that big time. But a blimp, on the other hand, can hold tons of helium. It can be made out of Kevlar and this industrial fabric. It's reinforced. And that material at the end of the day, from a balloon to a blimp, is what makes the difference. And the material in this case is your messaging. The stronger your messaging, the stronger your balloon can get inflated to. So you're only going to be doing $20 a day with a balloon, but you can do $2,000 a day, $2K a day with the right ad. And yes, it is possible. I've seen it. So how do we go to this next level? Because having a balloon isn't the worst thing in the world. Again, we talked about this. Most beginner dropshippers, their ads are losers. They don't get any balloons. Their balloons aren't inflating whatsoever. They don't even get a $20 a day balloon. So when you have a balloon, we now need to do the biggest part of this whole equation, the number one lever of going and evolving our balloon into a blimp. So how do we do that? Well, let's take a look at two ads right here. So this is a balloon ad and this is a blimp ad. One is a minute long, another one is 9 seconds. And I know what you're thinking. How on earth is an ad that's longer, getting less done, and it has less specific messaging than this ad right here? Well, let's take a look. We're going to only watch a few seconds.
Life hack. Did you know that you can use LED light therapy for more things than just fighting wrinkles and anti-aging? Let me show you. This is the Magellan LED light therapy machine, your ultimate companion for radiant skin and rejuvenation, harnessing the power of advanced...
Okay, keep that in mind in your head. Did you know that blah, 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 blah can be used for more than anti-aging and wrinkles? And now they're talking about promotes collagen, tightens skin, encourages hair growth, blah, 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 relieves headaches, relieves blah, 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 blah. And basically, this is an all-in-one thing that will solve every single one of your problems, including cancer. We're going to talk about why I don't like that. But now let's look at this ad. 9 seconds. And basically, I know you can't read that text because, let's be honest, you're 4 eyes over here and you were never going to have a chance. But I have 2016 vision. I was a baseball player. It says one thing I'll never do, or one thing I'll never skip in my skincare routine is using an LED LED light therapy machine. So why is that? Because it has different skin benefits, blah, 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 anti-aging, all this stuff. And basically it helps with my anti-aging and anti-acne. That's why she will never not skip this in her skincare routine. So why is this ad better than this one? Let's break it down scientifically. How do we make blimp-style ads? It all starts, first off, big reveal. Drum roll, please. One angle. What does that actually mean? When you're selling any product, in this case, we are selling a product that helps with skincare, a red light therapy machine. It has multiple different audiences. And when you are making your avatar, you need to understand that each avatar is going to have different messaging that will resonate with them. Now, in general, what these guys did, because they're morons, and this is why it is so profitable to make money in e-commerce and dropshipping, and it'll always be because there's so many idiots. Like this ad right here, unfortunately, was a winning ad. They ran this for over a year. It got over 1 million impressions and actually was profitable. The reason why it's such a terrible ad is because they're trying to speak to every single avatar known to man that could possibly use this product. They're trying to shove everything into this one ad instead of just letting their product page do that. Their ad is trying to appeal to everyone, and when you do that, it usually appeals to nobody because you're trying to fit every single benefit. So if I'm someone who only cares about how this product helps me with wrinkles, and you talked about, yeah, sure, in the hook, you mentioned, oh, this helps with wrinkles, but it also does this for your hair. And does this. I don't care. It's not for me. I don't care about these other things. Mention specifically one angle, one core desire, one pain point that I'm going to resonate as the target avatar to make me want to buy. That's where you start. So one avatar, one desire, one awareness level, and one pain point. All of the best blimp style ads only focus on that. So when you're making your ad, one avatar. Okay, so in this case, let's say we're going to go with the audience that we feel like has the most scaling potential. Because if we're really being honest at the end of the day, for a skincare product like this one right here, there's probably multiple target audiences. There's the most likely wrinkles. We have acne. Most likely just anti-aging in general. So it could be like crow's feet, et cetera, et cetera. Disgusting. And let's say in this case, yeah, collagen, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's just say those are the main 3 audiences. Okay, cool. Do your research and read reviews. Go into Amazon. Go into Reddit. Read comment sections on TikTok, on Facebook. Go and after you do all this research, obviously read competitor product pages, reviews, study their ads, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So once you've done all that, then you need to make an educated guess, a hypothesis on what you believe will be the most profitable audience that actually has the biggest pain point that they're willing to spend the most money to solve, because that's usually going to be the audience that has the most scaling potential. So you pick one of these. You don't say, all right, I'm going to pick all of these. I'm trying to have an ad that has one line for this guy and one line for her and one line for her. That way everyone's happy. If you want to make everyone happy, go sell ice cream, my friend. Don't do dropshipping. Don't do e-commerce. That's not how this game works. You focus on one person and making them special. You ain't trying to have 10 side chicks. No, you have one main boo. And with our boo, we're trying to speak directly to her. And she has wrinkles. Okay, my friend? She has wrinkles. What's her desire? She wants to get rid of those wrinkles. She wants to look 10 years younger. She wants to look like she did in her heyday. She wants her husband to look at her and be like, oh my goodness gracious, I'm in love again. She has a specific awareness level. She knows she has wrinkles. She's problem aware. She's probably also solution aware. She's tried other solutions out there, but she's wondering, what makes your product different than all the other things she's tried? She's tried Botox. She's tried laser therapy. She's tried all these other things. So that's the awareness level. And what's her main pain point? All these other things are maybe too expensive, or they don't actually work as good as they should, or maybe they have some sort of long-term consequences. So you have to be hyper specific on the pain point. Or maybe the pain point is she has wrinkles and that's leading her to be insecure, not feeling like the best version of herself. But in every ad, you have one avatar, one key desire, one awareness level, one pain point. No, you don't try to shove everything into one ad. That ain't going to work here. That doesn't work. So in this ad right here, the reason why I loved it so much is that she mentioned one specific benefit. And really, if you look at it, the benefit itself isn't even said, it's shown. It is shown through the customer avatar, because this is the desire. My customer avatar wants to look like this. They want to have glowing glass skin. So we're showing them exactly what they want, the desired result. We don't even have to say the words. And of course, the one thing I'll do to make sure my skin always looks like this, if I'm someone who wants to look like this, that's going to get my curiosity, because this is my target desire. If I have wrinkles, cool, I'm going to be interested. If I have acne, probably as well. But in the rest of the ad, we cover specifically to one avatar how this is amazing for wrinkles, doing X, Y, and Z. So now the next stage of this is understanding what audience is it working for. When we study our ads that are working at that $20 a day spend, so our balloon ads, what did we do differently in that ad compared to the other ones? And usually, okay, the audience. Who is this ad resonating with? What was the messaging that we decided to do? Because in that, we'll be able to make more ads like that. That's what you need to focus on. Notice the patterns, notice the trends. And these are the key questions you need to be asking when you see your winning ad and breaking it down so you can create more ads like it that work. So what's the audience? Okay, in this case, we went with the wrinkle audience. We went with specifically older women, 50 plus, that are dealing with wrinkles. We have a specific customer avatar. Maybe her name is Mary. So we got Mary over here. She's been dealing with wrinkles. So we got Mary. Sorry, let me get my little drawing stick out. So we got Mary. She's, let's say 62. She's a GILF. 62. We like GILFs here. And her long-term goals, LTG, is to look 10 years younger. She wants to look 10 years younger, and she has a specific pain point. What's the specific pain point? She doesn't feel like herself. She doesn't feel beautiful. She doesn't have confidence. So doesn't feel beautiful. And we're actually going to break that down a little more, because that's very surface level, if I'm really being honest. But she has specific pain points. She has specific desires. She's tried. What has she tried? What are the alternative things she's tried? She's tried doing lasers. She's tried doing all these other things. So you have one specific person you were trying to speak to with your audience. What's the pain point? Because here's the thing. When it comes to these different layers of things, a lot of times, let's say pain point, outcome, whatever it is, you don't go deep enough. And we talked about this in one of my recent videos. So with pain point, a lot of people will mention the surface level pain being, oh, you have wrinkles. And that's literally it. They'll just call that out and call it a day. But you need to be more specific. What are the emotions you feel when you have that pain point? So in this case, I have wrinkles, and it makes me feel insecure. It makes me feel low confidence. I don't like going outside. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel as good as I did in the past. We want to get hyper specific. If I'm someone and I want to put myself in her shoes, I want to put myself in her wrinkly, old, leathery skin and understand, how does she feel day to day? And when does this pain point really hit her in her life? When I would go out, when I would go to a reunion, when I go out with my friends, I always felt like the ugly duckling. I always felt older than them. Whatever it is, the specific scenario, we need to paint a picture of the use cases. So when does she specifically feel this pain point? Because if we can get that specific, oh my God, is Mary going to watch the rest of this ad? And she's going to click on our link compared to everyone else who's just saying generic, hey, did you know this LED red light therapy machine can be used for wrinkles and anti-aging and does this? And it uses 6 different things. I mean, honestly, can we play this ad for like 10 more seconds, guys? Can you just see how bad this is? Like, oh my Lord. Okay.
Growth, this for radiant skin and rejuvenation. Harnessing the power of advanced LED technology, Magellan offers a non-invasive, gentle treatment that stimulates collagen production and reduces fine lines and fades age spots. With customizable wavelengths to target everything from migraines, arthritis, brain health, stimulate hair growth, this machine does it all. I use mine pretty much.
Arthritis, migraine, headaches. I mean, what are we talking about? What are we doing? I mean, it's just not even like the same universe. It's not even the same universe of customer avatar. So they're doing literally everything wrong, and they somehow had a winning ad. So, kudos to them. Honestly, I would say they got lucky. But when you have an ad like that, a big reason why it sucks. Okay, what audience is it working for? Who the fuck knows? We're trying to talk to every single human being known to man that could possibly use this. We can't narrow it down. And that's another problem. When you try to shove every single benefit and every single audience into one thing, you can't learn anything because it's so broad. You have to make your ads hyper-specific and tailor-made to one audience. Now, our next thing, outcomes. And this is honestly usually the biggest area where most beginner dropshippers fail because they're just too generic. So let's talk about it. What does Mary want to feel? She wants to have more confidence. But what does that really mean? She wants to look better. Okay. She wants to feel more confidence. Okay. Now, why does that matter? When does it actually appeal? Well, that means when she goes to her reunion, she's going to turn heads. That means when she goes to her little brunchies, getting margs with the girlies, they're going to ask her, did she get a facelift? How does she look so youthful? That she's looking glowing. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to just feel confident. No, she wants people to look at her and say, oh my God, you look amazing. What's your secret? Did you get a facelift? How do you do it? That's what she wants. And she also wants to maybe make her ex-husband, Todd. Oh, I hate Todd. Realize what he lost, and he fumbled that bag. That's what she really wants. And if we were to do another example, and I love using this example, let's say, for instance, we're selling a protein powder. And the main selling point about this protein powder, it gets you more energy. That's the outcome we're promising. You're going to get 25% more energy. Why the fuck does that matter? Well, if you have more energy, that means working out becomes easier. Can we be a little more specific? An hour on the Stairmaster goes by in 10 minutes. I actually enjoy working out again. It's made me more consistent than ever before at the gym. I actually enjoy and look forward to working out and doing my leg days. That's when it matters to have more energy. That's when it matters. Oh, why does it matter that you're getting rid of your wrinkles? Because when you go out, you're going to feel like that bitch. You are going to look 10 years younger. Everyone's going to ask you, what are you doing? How do you look so young? How do you look so youthful? What's your secret? They want to be loved. Don't we all? All right, final point. What social proof are you using? So again, when you make all these claims, when you do your research and you really dig deep and you've done all your heavy lifting, you need to have believable proof. So in this case, wrinkles. Ideally, how do we show and convince someone that this product actually works without telling them? Usually it's through visuals. So I love this ad over here because you're just seeing the direct results. Now, ideally, if we're really being honest, does this appeal to people with wrinkles? Probably not, because she's too young. She's not 50 plus. She's literally 25, 30. I mean, honestly, she could probably be 21 and just all the Botox and filler, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, that's Miami girl syndrome right there. But anyways, it won't appeal to them. But let's say, like, hypothetically, okay, let's just imagine, use your brain, that she's 50 and she looks like this. She looks great. That visual alone will do the job of convincing people, because they'll be like, oh, that's an authority figure. That's someone I want to look like. Sure, I don't know who she is. She's not a celebrity, but I want to look like her. Therefore, I'm going to listen to her. Whatever her secret is, whatever she recommends, I'm going to buy, because she's naturally an authority figure. That's social proof in its sense. Now, you can do that through, a dermatologist recommending, a doctor recommending, or having stacks of social proof, having multiple UGC creators talking about their experience using the product, how it's amazing, specifically for getting rid of that one problem and getting that one desire. Now, final things we're going to talk about, because I know this video is long and you've already lost your attention span and want to click on a Mr. Beast video, is variations. So when you have a balloon ad, how do we strategically make into a blimp style ad? Through strategically split testing and doing the right things. These are the most impactful split tests you can do. So when you have your little balloon ad, try new hooks, which means pair new visuals and scripts together as hooks. So when you have the winning ad, Okay, cool. What was the messaging we used? What was that target audience? Now let's try similar messaging to that same audience, but let's see if we can refine it and get a step further. Or let's try another visual that we haven't tried before. Maybe it's more engaging, and that can increase our hook rate, get more people to finish our ad, and therefore be a better ad that makes us more money than the original balloon ad that we had. So that's how we can keep spending more money. So hooks is always the most impactful thing because that's where the majority of people obviously are going to see your ad. 100% of people see your hooks. And then obviously the further down the line we go with your ad, the less and less people are going to see it. Therefore, it's usually less impactful of a split test. But the next thing, problem section. So usually your second clip is the next most impactful thing to split test, which is usually in most frameworks going to be your problem section. So can you shorten down your problem section, or can you make it more specific? Can you mention another use case? So maybe in your first ad, so for wrinkles, you called out people with wrinkles, and then in the problem section, you said, I've tried doing X, Y, and Z. I've tried using laser. I've tried doing this, but it didn't work because it was too expensive. Okay, well, let's try a different problem. Well, in this case, I've had wrinkles ever since I turned 50, and I felt very insecure whenever I was with my girls. That's a completely different problem. So you split test different versions of saying the problem. Then from there, length of ads. If you have a 30-second ad, try a 50-second ad. If you have a 30-second ad, maybe try a 15-second ad. So experiment with both longer and shorter ads just to see which one resonates. If you can put more information in, does it help? And typically, if you're going to go from a 30-second ad to a 50-second ad, how do you do that? You put more social proof. So think about more customer reviews, more UGC, more believability in your marketing. That's typically the difference. And then when you make it shorter, usually that means you're going to cut down the problem section a little, cut down the benefits to just like one or two, simple call to action. Now, final real thing, audio, having a new AI voiceover, having another UGC creator, having different music. That's usually, again, one of the more least impactful things. More least, yeah, not the best English. But yeah, it's a little bit, in terms of the ranking, I would say the fourth most important thing to split test. But if you have a balloon ad and you just focus specifically on making new hooks, that's usually the most impactful thing. So when I have a winning ad, typically I'm making 10, 20, 50, sometimes 100 different variations of the hook. And obviously, if you have an image ad, it would just be the headline that you're split testing. So you split test 100 different versions of that headline that are in the same desire, but just a different way of messaging it, or a different pain point to that same audience with the same visual that you've already had. So maybe it's the product and some social proof on that image, and then you have a strong headline on the top. So that would be what you split test. So I hope you learned a thing or two about how to make your balloon ads into blimp ads so you can scale to $1,000 a day consistently. But if you do want to get more information, frameworks, and honestly just have ChatGPT do this whole process for you through ad scripting, product research, and just have all the templates that are plug and play so you can do this whole process and test a product in the same day at a high quality level, then click the first link in the description and apply to my one-on-one program where we have all the frameworks, the bots, and the whole process dialed down to a science that will help you scale to $1,000 a day within the next 6 months, or we keep coaching you for free until you do. It's a completely guaranteed you'll have $1,000 a day. So if you're interested in working with me personally, getting my feedback and coaching, plus all these amazing resources, book that call, click the first link, and I'll see you in the next video.